New York is my longest relationship. I've been living in New York for 12 years, and it is an abusive relationship. I've had some terrible apartments. For an entire year living in New York, I lived in a plywood box that was built poorly and illegally in a living room. So it was basically like I lived in a treehouse. I lived in an indoor treehouse, and I lived with two roommates, and I only met one of them once. And it was when I moved in, and he was an artist, and I know that because he handed me a postcard when I moved in, and on that postcard was a pair of women's lips, and out of those lips was jumping a naked man, and that naked man had a clock for a face. And he goes, "Come to my art show." And I was like, "Oh, okay. I love this kind of art. Thank you, I will." Clock face art? Yeah, this is my favorite. My other roommate, I never met once, and I lived there for a year. I never saw him. All I knew about him was in the shower, he had horse shampoo. And this is before I found out that people use horse shampoo. So I thought that he had a horse in his room, or that he was a horse. I thought I lived with a horse. And the horse, his favorite food was garbage. He would leave a pot on the stove, slow cooking all night, and it was sludge. It was like a fish skeleton and an old boot floating in it. And it smelled really bad. And because it smelled so bad, he would leave the window open all night. So I basically lived outside. Some days there'd be snow in the kitchen. It was a terrible way to live. And one morning I wake up to the sound of pigeons mating. I'm trying to make this a clean album, so I didn't say fuck, but you get what I'm getting at, right? You know what mating means. Is that clean? I woke up to the sound of pigeons mating, and if you don't know what that sound is, it's ooh! Ooh! Are we getting this? Ooh! It sounds like the Queen of England trying to gargle for the first time. Does that register? Like someone's like, "Your Majesty, Listerine." He's like, "Oh, hello! Oh!" Does anyone else do the same impression for the Queen of England that you do, Mrs. Doubtfire? So I wake up to that sound, and I thought the Queen of England was in my kitchen, but instead I open the door, and sure enough, there are two pigeons on my kitchen cabinets. And I apologized to them. I walked out, and I went, "I'm so sorry to interrupt!" And then I left the apartment. And as I was leaving, I yelled, "Let the horse deal with those birds!"